Hey Martha, what's going on over here?
Hey PJ, I'm making buttercream, Swiss meringue buttercream. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, meringue is a mixture of egg whites and sugar. So in this case, I'm making a Swiss meringue, which means I've got egg whites and sugar, and I'm whipping it over a double boiler, a bain-marie, with simmering water in it. And what will happen is that the egg whites will get pretty hot, about 100 to 120 degrees, and eventually the sugar will dissolve. And then once that's dissolved, I will put it on a mixer, and I will let it mix and whip and cool. So this is 2 to 1, a 2 to 1 ratio. My buttercream is a 1-1-1 ratio. So 1 cup of whites, 1 pound of butter, and 1 pound of sugar. And if you know your math, 1 cup of whites is 8 ounces, which is a half a pound. So I have a 2 to 1 ratio of sugar to whites here. So 16 ounces of whites, 16 ounces of sugar and 8 ounces of whites. No, the other way around. No, that's right.
I'm not confused at all.
No. 2 to 1 ratio, 16 ounces of sugar, 8 ounces of whites. This takes a little while. I don't want to cook the whites, so we do it gradually. I have a glove on because eventually I'm going to stick my finger in it and rub my fingers together and see if I can feel the sugar. And when I can't feel the sugar anymore, that's when I know it's ready. So my meringue is pretty much ready. It is pretty hot, and more importantly, the sugar is dissolved. So if I just rub my fingers together like that, stick my fingers in, it's hot, take my word for it. But when I rub my fingers together, there are no more sugar granules. That's really important. It's more important than it being hot, is that the sugar granules are gone. Because once I start whipping it, if there are any sugar granules in this, they won't whip out. And I'll feel the sugar granules on my tongue. Might even see them. So I want to make sure that they're all out there. You could do this with an Italian meringue as well. An Italian meringue is made with cooked sugar syrup, and if you watch my marshmallow video, you'll see me make an Italian meringue in that. This is a Swiss meringue, so it's just cooked over a double boiler until the sugar is dissolved. This is also cooked. You could not do this with a French meringue, or it's also called a common meringue, and that is simply whipping egg whites and then drizzling in the sugar while you're whipping it. And so that has to be used in something that's going to then be further cooked. So I'm going to turn this on. It's going to get pretty loud. I'm going to turn it on. It's going to whip and whip and whip for about 10 minutes until it's cool and it is stiff. And at that point, we'll come back in and I'll add my butter. So this is very stiff and it's almost done, but it's really warm in my kitchen, so it's not cooling down like I would like, so I have a little bit of ice in a towel that I'm just rubbing on the side of the bowl. If you have the kind of bowl that is suspended from the mixer, you can just put a bowl of ice underneath it. I want to cool this down because I don't want my butter to melt. My butter is pretty soft. It's been sitting out for a few hours. Metal is great because I can feel how warm the inside, the contents are, just by feeling the outside. That's great. The other thing that happens is friction is heat, so instead of the meringue cooling down on a really warm day or in a really warm kitchen, the friction of it going around is actually going to heat it up, keep it warm. Okay, so this is ready. It's nice and cool. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Actually, let me just show you too how nice and smooth and creamy this is. And it's nice and stiff, nice soft stiffness to it. So that's what we're looking for. Creamy, there are no granules of sugar. Okay, so I've got this going around slowly. Here's my butter. And I'm just going to put this in gradually. So I do it with my fingers, one little lock at a time, about as quickly as it takes me to pick up another piece of butter. That's about how quickly I'm going to put this in here. Now we are mixing two things that don't usually mix. Egg whites and sugar are water-based, and the butter is fat-based. So they don't want to mix. This is an emulsion. If you ever have a problem with your buttercream where you're maybe using some that was made on the previous day and it looks like it's broken, that means it's probably too cold. So warm it up. Use a blowtorch or a hairdryer or a warm towel around the bowl. Warm it up a little bit. If it's soupy, then that means that it's too warm. And do what I did earlier with some ice around the bowl or stick it in the fridge for a few minutes. Sometimes when you're making buttercream, if you're in a cool kitchen, remember I said butter can look like or buttercream can look like it's broken if it's too cool. So sometimes if you're in a really cool kitchen, then while you're mixing it, it will look like it's breaking. Don't worry, just let it keep mixing. Don't whip it. You don't want to whip air into it. You want it to be nice and creamy and smooth. So you notice my whip is on a really slow speed. I'm just going to let this mix until it comes together. And then I can put this aside. I can put this in the freezer. I can use it right away once it's completely mixed together. But I do want to let this mix for a little while, slowly, until it comes to a buttercream consistency. So we'll let this mix for a few minutes and then we'll come back and see the finished product. Alright, so we're back. I'm going to be finishing these cupcakes for my sister's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Judy. I've switched to a paddle from a whisk because I don't want to whip any more air into this now. So from now on, I'm going to always use a paddle instead of a whisk for my buttercream. This is still pretty soft because I just made it, but it's also beautifully creamy. And I'm going to fill my pastry bag with some buttercream. Remember, never more than half full.
Baby, won't you please come home?
Squeeze a little bit out. Now I'm going to come over here and make sure that I'm far away from the other woods, and I'm going to start by piping around the outside and bringing it right up into the middle.
I have tried in vain, never no more to call your name. When you left, you broke my heart, because I never thought we'd go.
These are gluten-free cupcakes, by the way. We have a gluten-free birthday.
In the day, you'll hear me say, oh baby.
So you'll notice when I'm piping that I hold my bag about a ½ an inch above the cupcake. That way I can control where I'm piping.
Because your mama's all alone.
Great. So I'm going to finish these off. That is Swiss meringue buttercream from PJ and me. Bye. Bye,
Bye.
PJ.
When you left, you broke my heart, because I never thought we'd part. Every hour in the day you'll hear me say, oh baby, yeah baby, come on home.